Welcome to Talk to Brazil Business Podcast with your host, Tom Riak, the connection to business in Brazil and the world.
Welcome to Talk to Brazil, the Business Connection. I'm Tom Riak, an American living in Brazil and talking from my studio in Campinas, the state of São Paulo, Brazil. Today's guest is Juliana Facini, and Juliana Facini is a specialist focused on customer services, corporate events, and international relations. Recently, Juliana and I met during the Inova Campinas Innovation Festival and the Campinas Friendly Tour. Juliana recently posted an article on her LinkedIn profile describing the events and the tour. So with that, hello, Juliana, and welcome to Talk to Brazil.
Hello, Tom. Firstly, thank you for this opportunity. It's a really good idea of showing business in Brazil and connecting people and professionals. Thank you for that, really.
Well, I want to thank you first because really, as I said, we met on the tour, and the tour, I didn't know anybody on the tour. I don't think maybe you did, but it was a great place to meet 30 different people.
Yes, actually, it was an amazing idea, an initiative of Soraya Isliker, this brilliant person of head of Campinas Friendly Tour, and to show everything which is going on here in the region and connecting people. She could, with her initiative, she could connect different people from different segments of industry and also with different backgrounds. Yeah. And from this initiative, there are lots of projects going on because of that. So, I'm really thankful to Soraya and and her Campinas Friendly Tour initiative.
For our listeners, Soraya Isliker was also a guest on Talk to Brazil, and she described really before the tour what her idea was of founding the Campinas Friendly Tour, and that's part of the Campinas is a smart city. And During this week that I mentioned, the Inova Campus Innovation Festival, the whole city, and even before, was full of different events in different places, all obviously with the focus on innovation. And the tour was set up to be part of that. Obviously, there's a lot of work to get any tour together and to get people together, but also to get the companies to accept everybody for a visit.
Yes. Just backing a little bit, as I could see myself, most of the people were surprised with the stunning projects which is going on here in Campinas, and they didn't know. People don't know. People living here in Campinas don't know about everything like Sirius and HIDS, which is the international hub for sustainable development.
Right.
So this is what I was so surprised with this this new world for me. I wanted to show the people I wanted to show to the people this is amazing ecosystem that we are living on, and we don't know. This is what I wanted with my article.
I think you did that, and for our audience, for our listeners, the title of the article, it's in Portuguese, but the title of the article is the Interior Paulista, the inside of the state of São Paulo. Is your vocation technology? Is that the future? Is it the future or is it reality, right? And I think that point was very well made because I live in Campinas and I've lived here for many years. And what I said recently on another podcast, you mentioned this Project Sirius. Project Sirius is a massive undertaking. It's almost a $1 billion investment.
Exactly.
And it's like 3 kilometers from my home.
Yeah.
And so when we see the laboratories, the different science applications, what's happening, the brain power, which from where I live is, let's say, in a 5-kilometer radius, which not only includes these laboratories that you mentioned, the University of Campinas, the HIDS, which is the International Hub for Development. That's literally all in my backyard, and much of it I wasn't aware of.
Yes. People thank me because of the article, because they just live near there, or even they pass. They are, oh my gosh, they are in the road and see that, and they don't make an idea what is that. So,
or not even on the road, or not near
it. I said everything.
No, I just asked you to repeat because I didn't hear what you were saying, but you can start again.
No, it's just because I thought that people are in the road and see the series, or they don't have an idea what is that, and they have to know that. They have to know about what they have in the city. This is This is the second lab of synchrotron.
Right.
Yeah, energy of the world. And it's amazing. It's the best of technology and science of the world. Researchers from everywhere come here to work in this lab. So I think Brazilians need to open their mind and accept that they are brilliant also. They have to accept that they have this, we have this in not only the region, but in the country. What I think that Soraya needs to make now, I think she can expand her idea nationally, bringing people from other states and even from, I don't know, from Latin America, to show this. This is the really the best of what we have in science, like in technology. I'm not sure if you agreed with me, but I was really impressed about Sirius and HIDS.
No, well, I obviously I agree, because for me too, it was a very invigorating experience of being going in, because obviously because I live close, I've been passing in front of the building as it was under construction. The construction itself is monumental, and always wondering exactly what's inside. And I think the tour brought that to all of us. The opportunity to go inside and see, because and for our listeners, the Sirius project is becoming operational now in December. So the basic construction has finished. They're in the phase of installation, as we saw inside, and we were part of that to see what is happening. And it will become commercially operational here in December. So 2020, besides the tours and seeing it, they will start different projects for different companies, other learning institutions. So it's a working environment. It's a research environment. And as we saw, you mentioned the Brazilians need to know it, the people in Campinas need to know it. But we were aware of the fact that most laboratories and most research institutes in the world already know about it and are waiting for this inauguration, the commercial startup. Because very recently, and Soraya was also part of that, the ministers of the 5 BRIC countries were here, and they visited the Sirius project. They were able to see that. So the leading countries have been following that. The leading scientists obviously have been following that. And once it becomes operational, that will be, commercially speaking, a very good step forward. But for us, let's say just normal people.
Yes, it's difficult to understand what is that.
Yeah, it's sort of, the building itself looks like a UFO, like a flying saucer that landed, and the impression of opening the door and going in is the same thing, right? I thought I was going to go in and see a bunch of ETs walking around. But you see normal people, engineers, technicians working, research people sitting at their desk and working, and a lot of things happening that obviously as a layperson I don't understand, but the tour made that very interesting for us, that how this is applied. And it can be applied to everything and many things. So there is interest in developing, using the technology as a framework. So that was good. So what struck me personally is the fact that Brazil has this technology, that it's here, that it's not a project, it's coming online. So so when we say Brazil is developing, it's a developing country. In part, that's true. But when you look at not only the Sirius project, when we look at everything that we saw during the tour, during the week, we saw startups, we saw different companies that are up and running. We saw unicorns. They're billion-dollar companies. You're talking about Venture Hub. We saw companies starting up and growing right here in our backyard. So Campinas is, as I said, the smart city. But it is the innovation reference for Brazil.
For Brazil, yes, exactly. I totally agree with you. As I mentioned in my article, just to clear to everyone, the series a superpowering microscope capable of investigating materials and at kind of scales that we cannot measure. We cannot see. It's unimaginable for us.
Right.
So it's really impressive. It's really impactful. But yes, Innova was very new for me. I was working in companies, and I was not aware of so many things that were going on. That's really the surprise, a surprise for me. All those things here in Campinas, and I'm really thankful for that. And this week of immersion in this world of innovation, digital transformation, and technology was really rich for me, and that's what I want to write down more and more, because I think we have to export these ideas.
Right, I agree with you, and for our listeners, finding Juliana Facini on LinkedIn and finding the article that she posted. Inside the article is full of the description, but also the links to each one of the projects. Link to the HIDS project, which is Unicamp, the University of Campinas, the Sirius project, the Center for Research. So those links will obviously lead everybody to more information from that Juliana posted on LinkedIn. So, but again, thank you for your effort in doing that. And that's part of what I believe, that there is so much in Brazil. There's so much in the state of São Paulo. There's even much more in the city, in the region where we are. But if we individually, like you did, if we don't tell people about it, if we don't promote it, how can people know?
Yes, exactly.
So it's really not something the government has to do that. Yes. Companies have to do that. Yes. But the individuals, the person who live here, have to do that. So if you don't share that with your friends, and again, the structure, the tour is very inviting, very low-cost thing to be part of. Soraya is planning other events for 2020, and I think that's good. And it's a way of meeting people, seeing things, but also helping. But, and again, I want to commend you again. That's all nice, but if you don't tell anybody about it, if you don't do what you did, you've taken that and posted it on LinkedIn, you're sharing that. And that's probably the most important component. Each one of us, I think, has an obligation to tell about it. And that's how people are going to know.
Exactly. And you know what? Most of people don't know that we have other companies that are amazing, like iFood is from here.
Right.
Clear Sale, Everflow, and all those companies that were born here.
Right.
From this Unicamp brilliant heads. And I think we need to know that. And Campinas Friendly Tour brought this for Campinas people.
Right.
You know? We also had a chance to visit the beer tech of AB InBev.
Right.
I think people need to know this about the events and visit, and I think we have to be more interested of what we are doing.
Right. Well, last week I also interviewed Marcelo Noble, who is the rector of Unicamp, the University of Campinas. Yes. And he had a chance of explaining what is happening in the HIDS program. But what he mentioned, there are over 800 companies, startups that were born within the structure of the university.
Exactly.
It's a nest for the creation of new ideas and new companies. So it was 800. Exactly. And it's still ongoing. So I think that's it. I think our region, Campinas, smart city, a lot happening. And again, I want to thank you for promoting that. And again, it was very well done. The article in this, I was very surprised to see. It was very well written and struck me because that was something I would like to say, and then I saw you saying it. So congratulations again.
Thank you, Tom. And I think this we are all promoting this yourself, Leonardo Tiroli, Soraya, myself, and let's go.
Let's go.
Okay.
Okay, Julia. So I want to thank you again for sharing your time with our listeners, okay?
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
And I would also like to invite our guests and our listeners to visit the website of Talk to Brazil. That's TALK, 2, BRAZIL.com. Well, you'll find today's interview with Juliana Facini, and her last name is Facini, and the link to her LinkedIn profile. And on LinkedIn, she's Juliana, Juliana, Grfacine. So Juliana Facini, get to her link, get to the article, and you'll find more information. You can also find more in our previous shows of Talk to Brazil on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Himalaya, and many others. And thank you, our audience. Our sponsor today is Focus MI Market Intelligence. Focus MI specializes in market research for the Brazilian agricultural market. And more about them on their site, focusmi.com. Remember, when you talk to Tom, you talk to Brazil and the world. Goodbye, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Tom Riak and guest on Talk to Brazil Business Podcast, the Business Connector.